Welcome to Keep Trucking Personal, where we invite you to explore the heart and soul of our company, Kivi Brothers Trucking. Through engaging storytelling, insightful market updates, and vibrant energy, our podcast reflects our culture, values, and achievements. Whether you're a team member or industry enthusiast, join us to build connections, foster growth, and inspire excellence. Discover why we're more than just a company. We're a community, a catalyst for positive change, and a home for those aspiring to be part of something extraordinary. The pre-trip is complete and engines ready. We're set to hit the road on the Keep Trucking Personal podcast. Let's go.
All right. If you've never been to Canada, picture crossing into Canada and kind of getting interrogated every single time you cross the border. Whether you're coming into the US or you're going into Canada, customs agents tend to act the same, and they tend to look at you like you're always trying to bring something into the country that you're not supposed to. Well, in trucking, so that's just in a car as well, but in trucking, you have to have some specific documents to cross either way, right? And you have to have, if you're bringing a shipment in, customs invoice and your manifest, and that's tied to your license, and they scan a barcode, and then they can take a visual appearance. And really, it's focused around tariffs. They want to make sure that whatever you're bringing into Canada has the right value on it, and that they can track it for tariffs. And the same is true as you come in. And we had taken, so I was running with another driver, and we had ended up taking a trip from Minnesota to California. And then in Los Angeles, we loaded some steel pipe, and we brought that steel pipe up into Alberta, and we crossed in just fine. And then up in Canada, we had reloaded some hay that was coming back down to North Dakota. And when we were coming back in to the United States, I wasn't driving at this time. The other driver was. And we pull up to the customs window, and he starts asking some questions. It's kind of like maybe, it's already interrogating, like, where are you going? Where have you been? How long have you been here? Where'd you pick this up? Anything suspicious happen? Did you notice anything? And our driver started to stutter a little bit, and kind of, just because it's such a high pressure moment, they're just looking at you like you're lying to them, even though you're not. And he kept asking a couple questions, and this driver just kept answering them wrong. And so I'm sitting in the passenger seat, kind of like, whoa, this is about to turn a corner here, and we're probably going to get parked and have to come back in and go through the next level of interrogation, where they look up your background and really try to see, more about you because they think something's fishy. And he kept answering it wrong. And the customs agent was started to look at him and go, okay, sir, do you, I don't remember along the lines what it was, but do you X, Y, Z? And finally, he essentially convinced my driver at that time to answer it properly, because it wasn't really a trick question, but he was just so nervous that he got rattled. And I don't know why I thought of that story prior to recording this episode I wanted to share, but it's such a unique thing to deal with in trucking. We don't realize that as a truck driver, there's so many different levels of professionalism and readiness that you have to have in crossing country lines. That increases. And the same is true when I went by myself. I had went up to this, once again, Alberta, and I was on my way back to the United States. And coming into the United States, customs agent asked, something about if I had a fast pass and all this, and you just get so locked up. And I thought, once again, I was going to get interrogated. You just feel so out of place, even though you're doing your job as you should and everything's prepared. And they're not looking at essentially DOT. They're just looking to make sure you're not smuggling things, and you have your proper documents, and your tariffs have been paid, or they have a way to document it. Same as if you have an in-transit form and you're going to Alaska, you cross into the customs and you have to actually fill out this form. And on that form, you declare what the value of your commodity is. And they kind of take a look over to make sure that you're essentially saying there's 10 pieces on here. And when I cross back into Alaska, into the United States, that is going to have 10 pieces, and it's the same material on here, because they don't want you to drop anything off illegally, once again, focused on tariffs. So very unique, very exciting opportunity if you get to do it. And it's one of those things that it gets better with time. And those are some of the first times. But the very first time you cross into Canada or you cross back in the United States, you'll know what I'm talking about, and you'll remember that for a long time, just like I did. So let's get to the elephant in the room on today's episode. And this one is a little more familiar, I think, to everyone, whether you're in trucking or you're not. And if you're not in trucking, you're going to learn a little bit about the severity of this. And it's called driver turnover. We all know about it. We all talk about it. And it's everywhere in this industry. And drivers bounce from company to company, and trucks are left abandoned, and promises are broken. And turnover doesn't just hurt companies. This might seem like a one-sided approach, but it doesn't just hurt companies. It hurts drivers. It hurts their families, hurts customers. If you're under a load when you decide to abandon a truck or leave it, and the entire reputation of trucking is compromised. And I feel really strongly about this because I see it so prevalent, and it's not just at our company, right? We're not immune to this, but I see it everywhere, and it just is a big turning pot that never stops. And now the industry, if you have 100% turnover or less, you're beating the average. Many companies will hit 130, 140, 150, 200% turnover. And if you think about that, that means they're cycling through their drivers twice in a year, essentially. It might not be the same drivers, but there's probably a melting pot at the bottom of drivers that just keep coming in and flushing out, coming in and flushing out. And think about the cost of that from a company perspective. Think about the hiring cost. You know what it takes. If you're a new driver, whether you've been flown, you've had a car rented, one way or another, there was transportation to get you to orientation. And then while you're in orientation, however long that is, the pay that you receive for that, the time, the hotel, the food, anything you can imagine, the trainers go into that cost. And then from the driver perspective, every time you start a new driving job, your seniority resets, your benefits, you lose them and you have to restart. Your pay raises that you maybe have received or you were in line to receive are gone. It keeps you stuck in that cycle. And jumping jobs might look like an opportunity, but often it's a step backwards. And I hear this from the drivers themselves. They will tell me, hey, I'm still recovering from the last job I had. I'm still recovering. I haven't made it out of this hole. I haven't been able to dig out because my hole got so deep that I couldn't get caught up. And then it just started to perpetuate the next problem. And it sped the cycle up. And, many times, and here's what the vicious cycle is. Changing jobs too often means a new company, a new system, and new lanes. It's all new to you. Generally, trucking is the same, but not every company is the same. And every company is unique in their own nature. And pay might look better at that first glance, but the time lost learning the ropes has an impact, has a big impact. And no tenure equals no pay bumps, no preferred freight, because that's a real thing. We have to get to know the drivers from a company side, and the drivers have to get to know us from a driver's side. And it's like planting a tree, guys. And if you uproot it every 6 months, the roots are never going to grow and you're going to never have shade. You'll never have shade. So it doesn't start to become one. You have to spend time to learn. And drivers nowadays are parking trucks at a truck stop. They're leaving it at their nearest truck stop, a nearest Walmart at their house, and they're throwing the keys on the dash and they're walking away. That's tough. That's tough on a company. That's tough as a driver. That's a lot of reputation and trust you're throwing away. And that's leaving your team to clean up your mess. And how do we get to this point where abandoning equipment is considered acceptable? It's a failure of respect. It's not what this industry is meant to look like. When I look back to when I worked at our shop, this was not even a thing that you heard of. This was not something that was even, this didn't exist. A driver's integrity was to finish the job or do it properly. And they followed through. Now, illness, somebody gets hurt, something like that, that's a completely different ballgame. That doesn't even fall into this category. But none of this was a thing that existed. And that's not that long ago. This is a new era of trucking that we're in right now, and it has to stop. If you're a driver thinking about quitting your company, do it the right way. Don't let one bad week, one missed dispatch make you jump ship. Yes, that next company might look shiny, but 2 months later, you're often going to find the same problems. And the truth is, most of the challenges in trucking are the same everywhere. Freight is freight, weather is weather, traffic is traffic, trucks are trucks. And the difference is the relationships you're going to build where you're at. So it's not just our company that we're talking about. It's any company in the trucking industry. Think about it, where you're at. Think about the relationships you have. Think about the length of that relationship. Are you going to let maybe one bad season compromise 6, 7, 8 years, 10 years? Some people have been in companies 20 years. Now, don't mistake this for me saying that there's not opportunities that are better. But I want to make sure people slow it down and look at what's in front of them. Because the case for staying oftentimes is much greater than the case for leaving. Tenure equals wealth. Pay raises come with time. Opportunities to run better freight come with trust. Now, I know many companies might offer you bigger trailers, bigger trucks, big opportunities, but they still need to get to know you too. Because respect is earned, it's not instant. And 3 years at one company can build you a foundation. 3 jobs in 3 years leaves you broke and tired. And that's the truth. That's not me making that up to just try to promote this concept. It is the truth. Stay where you're at, buckle in, get to know them, listen to your company. Oftentimes, the things they're doing are what they need to do to survive in this industry. It's not an easy industry. It's a cutthroat industry, and it's very competitive. So companies have to move. They can't just be who they were 10 years ago. They have to make changes and pivots to be stable and honestly relevant in the industry. Because if you don't, you'll find yourself forgotten. And that's true as a carrier. So you have to remember that a good company learns you as much as you learn them. And it takes months to understand lanes and freight and rhythm. And that's why we partnered all new drivers up with mentors. And I like to talk about this almost in every episode because it's so important. If you have a mentor and you're a new driver here, I'm excited for you. You've been paired up with the right driver to help you succeed. They're there to answer questions when you have questions about the things that happen at night, or how to tarp a load, or who should I call to talk about this? Who at the company can help me here? Do you know any other drivers that can benefit from what I have to teach or what I need to learn? So there's so much opportunities, but that's what good companies do. They're going to pivot, they're going to make necessary changes, and they're going to be malleable. So you have to give them some slack. Same is true for drivers, right? Companies have to go the other way and listen to their drivers when they have complaints or concerns. But friends, you have to remember this, because I've learned myself from leading a company all the way down to driving. Stop chasing shiny numbers and communicate before you quit. Oftentimes these problems that you're stewing on are often solvable. Don't let it sit under your skin and let it become something and fester something, become something much bigger than it is, when you could just talk about it. And don't let your ego get in the way of that. Bring it up. Sometimes people can't picture or just hear what you're saying undertone, right? Like you can't pick up on it. You have to be forthcoming and bring up the issue and be transparent. And so if you think about that, I bet many drivers, and I know there's many drivers, that when the time comes for them to depart and they put in the notice, just like any company, right? Whether it's kind of a debrief or a call to salvage, because we do care. Nothing hurts more than seeing a turnover email come in. We call it retention, but nothing hurts more than seeing a retention email come in and you ask yourself, what could I have done differently? It hurts, it's personal, and that's how we feel. And oftentimes we'll call and talk to that driver one-on-one and ask questions, and you'll get a litany of things that maybe have been festering, but they didn't bring it up to anybody. Well, I didn't care for the way this was done, or I don't like how this change is going on. And instead of bringing that up and talking through it and working through it as a relationship like it is, it becomes something that they resent against their company. And then it turns into dissatisfaction and turning down loads and back and forth friction. And really it could have been done if it was just communicated. And we remember that this is still a professional industry and you guys are professionals. And that's what I love about this industry. Often I take videos and pictures. As a driver, if I get content from you, I celebrate it. I share it all over the place. It's who I am. It's my DNA. I love trucking, and I love it when you guys share with me. And that's my way to express it. But if you don't communicate, you don't share, you don't talk to your driver specialist, you don't talk to someone at the company, you don't talk to your mentor, we all want you to succeed. So let's not let turnover continue to be an elephant in the room. Let's get rid of it. Let's focus on integrity and tenure. And there's some ways to invest in your reputation continuously. It's not just a one and done. but be the driver that dispatch can count on. And I've said that before. It's really important. We get ETAs. We plan that. And we plan you for success. Because I know if you're in a truck and you're away from family, you're away from home, you're away from all the things that are back there, you deserve to be planned. You deserve to work hard. And you need that, but you have to hold up your end so we can do all the processes that are before and after continuously. Once again, it's a two-way street. You have to be able to trust us, and we have to be able to trust you. But you can do that through building a track record of safety and professionalism and being on time and communicating if something changes, because we know how often things change out of your control. Tires, weather, traffic, it doesn't matter. It can change your ETA, which can roll downhill. And if you don't communicate, nobody's set up for success. So think about your family through all of this, because remember, stability pays off more than a few extra cents per mile. And that's that cycle I was talking about. 3 jobs in 3 years, it's very tough to catch back up. And that's not what I want to see for anyone. I want you to be successful. You'll hear me say it if I talk to you on the phone, like, I want you successful. We would never do anything to set you up for failure, because we don't win and you don't win. So drivers, I'm asking you to stay the course wherever you're at. Find a home and plant some roots and grow. And this is true for any trucking company. I'm asking you, respect your drivers and don't just talk family values, live them. And turnover is the elephant in the room, but together we can face it one decision at a time and 1 mile at a time. Because the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. And think about it that way. So let's bring trust back to trucking, and let's stop abandoning trucks, and let's stop abandoning each other, and let's keep trucking personal. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Keep Trucking Personal. We appreciate you taking the time to explore the heart and soul of Kivi Brothers Trucking with us. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review to let us know your thoughts. Tune in next time as we continue our journey together, diving deeper into what makes us a community, a catalyst for positive change, and a home for those who aspire to be part of something truly extraordinary. Until then, keep trucking, and we'll catch you on the next episode.